Prime Minister, and Ed Husic, as you can see, speaking there, taking questions. We'll take it again.
Let's not give up that chance to be able to grow jobs and industry into the future, and we want to be able to have that growth capital as a bridge through what we're going through now to what we see can emerge down the track.
Tony Burke says that the government submission on the minimum wage will be consistent with your values. Is it still your absolute belief that the wages of the lowest paid should keep up with inflation, and will that be reflected in the submission?
Absolutely consistent with our values, and what we don't do in submissions we didn't do last time was put a dollar figure on that.
But the principle
I just answered the question. You get one.
Just going along from Paul's question, given the high rate of inflation, will the submission this year show some more restraint from the previous year?
Well, it'll be consistent with our values.
Prime Minister, you mentioned the importance of the problems of the supply chain at the end of the pandemic. In August last year, you said a COVID inquiry would be held as soon as practicable. That's 7 months ago. Where are you up to in terms of organising an inquiry into the COVID response?
We're still seeking advice on that, and that's something that I've also spoken with the state leaders about because of the obvious reasons in terms of the response. But we have still been dealing with COVID. That should be obvious to all that our priority has been the response to COVID, getting the policies right around that. Once we are now considering a time frame of when we would make an announcement, but I made it very clear at that time, as I continue to do, that the priority has been the response to COVID.
If I could just ask on the safeguard, you've got some coal bosses like Whitehaven talking about this safeguard putting at risk or competitive disadvantage, creating risks for the energy security for strategic partners like Japan. Do you have any concerns about that? And Minister, if I may, when is the first project going to be funded under the NRF? When are we going to see that?
No, I have no concerns about our relationship with Japan, for example, which is very, very good. We are a secure and reliable partner. We are a partner for Japan, South Korea and other nations that always delivers on the commitments that we make.
Sarah, I know this won't come as any surprise to you, but I'm exceptionally impatient. I would love to announce the first project yesterday, but we are very focused on making sure that the National Reconstruction Fund makes these investments really quickly. We don't have a moment to lose in terms of rebuilding capacity. Our big focus will be on establishing the board and getting the investment mandate sorted, and so that work will begin today in terms of getting the next stage of this all set up. And so we're very, very keen to make sure those investments happen, and it's important. And well, yeah, absolutely, I would love for it to happen this year, but if I can make this point, we deliberately set this up to be different from the Coalition. Now, the Coalition's big flagship manufacturing grants program announced in 2020, and hardly any money went out the door at a time where we needed to rebuild manufacturing after the pandemic. Hardly anything out the door in 2020, hardly anything out the door in 2021, 85% of the decisions made in the weeks leading up to the election. We know their track record of colour-coded spreadsheets. We said we can be better than that. So we're setting up an independent board with an investment mandate that will make their decisions based on what's right in terms of meeting the priority areas, the investment mandate and the return on the taxpayer. So we want them to get those calls right, and it's not for us to badger or jab them from a lectern and say, just make the decisions. We want this to invest in capability and jobs, and they're going to be given the room to make those calls.
I'll take just a couple more here, then Jen.
Prime Minister, just on the Housing Fund, how confident are you that the Housing Fund will be able to pass this week, given the significant Greens concerns and from the crossbench? Are there any further concessions the government are willing to make to get it over the line?
We want to invest in affordable housing. All those who say they support increased investment in social and affordable housing should vote for the bill. It's as simple as that. I find it rather bizarre, the argument that says what we want is more money and therefore we'll vote for no money. It's up to the Greens political party to explain their position on that. you know, I think that from time to time in this place, a revelation here, there's politics played. And the Green spokesperson on this issue seems to be more obsessed by the politics than outcomes. I want outcomes.
We'll leave the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, there. We'll